Hey everyone, it's me again. I'm here to do my December daily mini devotional, December 19th, and today is the 20th. I missed yesterday's because I wasn't feeling good, but I'm back here in Plano, down at the Bob Woodruff Park, where I've showed you some of this park before, and it has stopped raining and there's no wind. For me, it's pretty mild, and so I thought I'd come down here and do this. So for December 18th, the little devotional is Other Gods, and it comes from Exodus 20, chapter 20, verse 3, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." And the thought is, if we kept this commandment, all the others would be obeyed. God needs to be first, always, and everywhere in our life. And I mean, how true is that? If we kept God the center of our life, it'd be a lot easier, to live for Him and obey Him and make it through this world. He'd be the center of our life. And then the one for today, let's see here, is revisiting old altars. And it comes from Genesis chapter 35 and verse 3, where Jacob was saying, "And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God." And I know that there's some more to that verse. I'm just sharing what came out of this little book, but it's a wonderful thing to read if you've never read about Jacob. I would encourage you to go in your Bible and read about him. And revisiting old altars. And the thought is, God led Jacob back to Bethel, the place of blessing, where he reconsecrated himself to God. And I'll tell you what, we have to have an altar in our life. And I've heard a preacher say that any place can be an altar. If you're driving in your car and something moves on you to pray, that becomes an altar. Standing washing your dishes, the kitchen sink becomes your altar. It doesn't always have to be an altar like as we know an altar. Any place can be an altar to God. And I teach my Sunday school kids that too. I teach them if they're outside playing, and all of a sudden they feel like they need to pray about something, a swing set can be an altar. And that's just wonderful that we can talk to God anywhere. But this thought of revisiting old altars got me to thinking, in the Old Testament, everywhere that they went, the people of God, the Israelites, they stopped at places and gathered stones and built themselves an altar, and then they'd travel on someplace else, and time would come to do that again. And they were building, at first those were altars, but later on they became like memorials. They could go back, like Jacob, he could go back to Bethel and remember what God did for him there the first time. And in our life, I've always been taught since I've been living for God, that we need to build, oh, look at those pretty ducks. We need to build memorials in our life, our spiritual life. I can remember back and look over my life and say, I remember when God did this for me. I remember when God did that. I remember when I was really praying for quite a while for something and needing an answer, and God sent the answer eventually. And I have a little journal through the years of prayers that God has answered, and I consider those, memorials. There will come a time, as you're living for God, that you'll be really needing an answer from God, and that answer may not come for a while. And if you were to write it down, the date that you started praying, and trust in God for the answer. Then when the answer comes and you write it down, time will go by, and you could look back through your journal and remind yourself and remind the devil, hey, God heard my prayer the first time I prayed. But He's sovereign. He's always on time. And then you look in that little note that you made, I started praying about this on this date and God answered on this date. Well, that gives the devil a black eye. It shows God is faithful. And, I'm not trying to preach to no one. I'm not called to preach. But I do love God and love to talk about Him. And I'm just sharing, this idea that has helped me through the years. Don't do no wrong to remind the devil that God's in control and God does hear and God does answer prayer. And it's just wonderful. I get excited talking about the Lord. Those ducks and that cold water. Oh, I brought it out of the car. This is Happy Mail I got last week. I'm going to tell you about it. Aren't those spots beautiful, those Dalmatians? This card is from my friends Michelle and her husband Pat, who does this photography of their Dalmatians, and they make these cards. This is a handmade card. He does photography. She crochets and she knits and she designs. I've mentioned it before, even earlier when I was in Walmart, that she has patterns published with Annie's. They live up in Michigan. And the name of her website is treasuredheirloomscrochet.com, and it's the same name on Facebook if you want to check her out. She also collects, like when I go to garage sales or thrift stores, the library that I showed you, that free section with the books. When I find craft books, crochet, knitting, cross stitch, things like that, and if it's any kind of crochet book that I know that I'm never going to use, I wait till I have a box full and I send them off to her, and she'll put them in her website and resell them. And then if there's a certain pattern that I'm looking for, or a certain book, and if she has it in her store, either if it's a pattern that she's designed or just a book that's maybe at Joann's, but my friend has it on her website, well, we barter. She'll just send it to me, no charge, because I send her some books. So it works out. Let me tell you this, we've been friends. We were trying to figure this out last year. I think we came up with, we've been friends about 16 years. And guess what? We've never met. They live in Michigan and I lived in Massachusetts. And how I came in contact with her was I was looking for a specific pattern, and I forget now what it was, but I was online looking and her website came up. And so I looked through it and she happened to have what I was looking for, and the price was very reasonable. And looking on that dock, I guess you'd call it, all those birds. Anyway, I bought the pattern from her, and we just kept emailing back and forth and became friends. Her husband had gone through some sickness, and I just was trying to encourage them and letting them know that I was praying for him and for her, and God intervened. I'll tell you, it didn't look good, and I would say that it's a miracle her husband is here. And then because we became friends, we would share different things, and there came a time where her mother, who was elderly, got hit by a car, and she made it through that, but, you know, being elderly and hit by a car, I mean, very frail, and it took a long time with rehab and in an assisted living place, and she passed away maybe last year or the year before, but the Lord did take care of her all that time after being hit from the car. I mean, that could have just taken her out of this world, but it didn't. But anyway, we've become good friends, and every year she'll send me a birthday card that they make with pictures of their Dalmatians, every year a Christmas card, and she crochets all year long little thread snowflakes and starches them, and every year in my Christmas card I look forward to one of those snowflakes from my friends. Now these Dalmatians, they got them as puppies, and so I've got to watch them grow, looking at her Facebook page and all that. They love Dalmatians. They love all dogs, but they tend to take in the Dalmatians. I'm enjoying watching those birds. See if I don't know if I can make this bigger. Let me try. Oh, whoa, too big. See there? They're just perched up there. Let's take a walk. I gotta get a few minutes of good walking in. I went to the post office after I left Walmart. I put Sandy's calendar and everything in her. Oh, this talks about that pier. It's interesting. I put her calendar in that envelope I bought at Walmart, and I had her address with me and did all that and went to the post office, and the line was out the door. And so, knowing my spinal cord and that sciatic problem, I knew I'd never make it. So I left there and I went to another mailing place. It's a hole-in-the-wall type place. But there was no one there. So I was in and out. And I mailed it, and she should get it Friday. I've already emailed her the confirmation number and that. So I hope that she'll join the Cal. I don't know if she's going to or not, but I hope so. I was looking in the car again at that calendar at the back of it, at all the different colors and the months, trying to think. I need to pretty soon start getting my colors together for that. Park is pretty quiet today. When I was coming down onto this pavement, now this is nice. 2 benches. Of course, in the summer they're going to be burning hot to sit on. What does this say? The fountain in the lake is dedicated to the memory of Bob Woodruff, for whom the park is named. Oh. Forgot what I was saying. Oh, when I came down onto this pavement to take you for a walk, there was 3 teenagers that were in a circle. They were jogging in place, and then they took off jogging on this pavement. There was them, and then there was a lady walking her dog, but that's it. I guess it's too cold. I've been trying to walk about 10 to 15 minutes every day except Sunday, only because Sundays I'm so busy. And of course yesterday, like I said, I didn't get out of the house. I didn't feel well. This is telling people not to feed. I don't find it that cold as long as there's not that wind. this morning I was looking at more of that variegated yarn that Bonnie sent me. She sent me some nice variegated that has gray in it. And I have a darker solid gray that it's called gray tweed. You might have seen it from the Dollar Tree. I already had it. And I'm thinking to take that and the gray variegated that Bonnie gave me and make some fingerless gloves. That's what I'm thinking. I might start on those today. And today I think I'm going to make some chili. I don't have to go to the grocery store to get anything. I already have everything. It's a good day for chili. What else? I want to thank all the new subscribers for coming along with me and everyone else that is part of my YouTube family. I appreciate everyone. Don't think I'll go to any thrift store today because, well, number one, I don't need anything. And the one that I like is in Garland, and I'm over here in Plano, which there are a couple here in Plano. Oh, I was hearing something, and I thought someone was coming down running, but let's see if you can see it. Can you see those two? I guess it's just one. Or no, it's two. They got a boxing. Oh, they're boxing. I kept hearing that kind of slapping sound and thought someone was coming down jogging. Oh, I know. I had written it down in my succulent notebook, which I found out that our Marianne, the crotchety clogger, also likes succulents. I had written down a question I was going to ask. What do you guys think of air fryers? I'll tell you why I ask. You know that I live in a travel trailer. So I have a very small stove, 3 burners. They all don't work, so it takes a while to cook if I need, a couple pots of something. But the oven is so small. I've been in that trailer 10 years. I've never used the oven. I wipe it down. I do clean it because dust can get in it anyway. But I use it for storage. And no, not for yarn. There's no yarn in my oven. But I've never used it. It's just too small. And I was thinking of an air fryer because sometimes I like a piece of salmon, or not often do I like French fries. They're not good for me with the diabetes, but once in a while. But yeah, I was just wondering, are the air fryers really worth it? Do you find that they're make your meals healthy? I don't have any counter space for one, but I do have a kitchen table I can put it on, and behind that table on the wall is the plug. I just don't want to waste money on one. So I wanted to ask those of you that have them, if you could put in the comments what your thoughts are about them. And also, since it's just me, I wouldn't need a real big one. But the small ones that I've looked at, you talk about small. So what would be the size, like the quarts, I guess they go by, that if I were to get one, that I should get for me. I don't care about the color, although I don't think I'd want white. But anyway, it's just something I'm thinking about. You know, I don't spend a whole lot of money. As you can tell, I'm a thrifty person. But I don't want to, you know, go buy me an air fryer and then Monster gets sick and then there's going to be a vet bill. But, you know, it's just all balance and everything. Air fryer is not a necessity. Monster is a necessity. But, it don't hurt, you know, every now and then to treat yourself to something. I mean, it wouldn't just sit there. It would be used. And I don't find them all that expensive. I just like looking at those birds. And by the way, Monster is really feeling better. She still has a few more days on her antibiotic. But I can tell that she's feeling better. This morning, her and Sadie got up, you know, the routine. Get up early, go outside for potty, then come back in, have their breakfast. And then they're not the kind that eat and go right back out. They like to go back on their bed. And Sadie burrows under her blanket and Monster just stretches out. And they were doing that, and I was doing some other things, and I went back into the bedroom for something, and I could hear Monster snoring. She was just so content. The other morning I took a very short video of Monster acting herself. It was the day after the vets, I think. And every morning she has this routine that she likes to bark and carry on at Sadie, like telling her it's time to get up, time to go out for potty. And I took that little video and sent it to my neighbor Pat, because it, you know, it showed me that Monster is back to herself. Well, guys and girls, I'm gonna head back to the car because I feel like my nose is gonna start running, and my tissue's in the car. But thank you so much again, everyone, for joining my channel. 400 subscribers. I've been trying to get to that for a while so that I could give you these things that I made. And I'll be showing you those this week. So don't go anywhere, because you might be the one that wins that little gift box of goodies. And if I do end up going someplace else today, you know that I'll call you up. And I know you'll answer when I call, and I appreciate that. So thanks, everyone. Remember to be kind to everybody, because somebody's having a bad day, especially, you know, this time of the year. It's not very jolly for everybody, so be aware of that. Thank you.